Welcome to Ishka Baha, the Science of Enjoyment, Golf Cask Original.
Welcome to DIY episode 2 of our sniffing kit. So I actually have a little bourbon. I've already poured a little bit as I was sampling to make sure I get an enjoyable show, because if I'm not having fun, then who is? This is Wathen's really good single barrel. It was given to me by a friend. Really enjoyed it. He just handed me the bottle and said, take it. So I thank them for that. Don't know if he wants me to call his name out, but I want to thank him for the gift. Cheers, Sláinte. Again, you know my flavor profile. It tends to be sweet with a little spice, right? This, I get sweet up the front. I'm getting lots of caramel. Very smooth. It's 94, I think, alcohol proof. A little burn. A little floral on the back end for me. Not my favorite floral, is not my favorite, but this one works for me. So the caramel up front really gets me going. A little more florally on the back end. It's fine. I like this one. It's quite pleasurable. So thank you once again. So episode 2, what were we talking about? We're talking about our nosing kits. So what I've done is, again, I've given you 24 flavors to start seeking out. I still have 12 of mine right here. I have about 4 more over there that I've ascertained. I actually got some wheat. I got some corn, mint, and maybe the chocolate nips. So I'm slowly but surely getting to my 24 as well. But again, I have my baking spices and I have my sweet flavors back here. Episode 2 is just learning from taking what we did in episode 1, which was securing our setup, number 1, and 2, starting to put memories to the smells, right? When I think of cinnamon, I think of an apple pie. Nutmeg, same. I think of a pumpkin pie at my grandmother's house or a restaurant as I was growing up. Vanilla, I think of homemade vanilla ice cream. Crab bakes in the summer when I was growing up as well. White oak is the smell that whiskey barrels are made from. Clove, I have clove sitting here. Clove is a very strong flavor that I think of Christmas time. When I was growing up, my mother, would do the cider packets with the herbs in it, which would have clove, nutmeg, cinnamon, and others, getting that smell. So again, to me, I think of Christmas. I also think of Angel Envy rye. So here's some baking spices. So now that we've assigned a memory, so it's easy to recall, we've gotten the actual flavors. Now we've got to start to learn to test it. It's just like golf. I'm a golf coach. We've got to take these pieces in steps. You just don't hit it like a tour player after day 1. So now that we've secured this, now we're going to start sniffing, right? So I'm going to take clove here. To me, again, clove is a very strong herb. I guess it's an herb. Anyways, we'll call it an herb. So when I open this up, very strong. Like I said, clove and allspice run together. So when I think of clove, definitely kind of sweet on the front end, but definitely has a spicy bite at the end. I really like the clove because that is kind of my flavor profile, right? I like that little baking spice at the end. On the far end over here, I also have nutmeg. Nutmeg's very similar, different flavor. But again, it's sweet up front and it has a spicy note. Has a spicy note in the background. So that is what nutmeg feels like. So here's the beauty of all this. We're all going to come into this with our own skill sets, right? Just like golf. We're going to be able to really isolate and be able to do certain smells very well. And there's going to be some that we're going to struggle with. We've got to train through it. So what we're going to do right out the gate is we're going to look at them. We're going to open them up. We're going to say the name. We're going to think of the memory. And we're going to smell it. So here's my family favorite, vanilla bean. I think of ice cream, like I said, in the summer, but vanilla is a huge fragrance inside the Bailey household. So there's vanilla everywhere. So again, I'm going to think of that summertime. I'm going to think of hand churning that ice cream. And that is what vanilla smells like. There was a reason I actually paired this whiskey today, because to me this has a lot of caramel note. It has a lot of vanilla note, and on the back end it has a floral note that, like I said, is not my typical favorite, but I really like. Cinnamon is right here. So what we're going to do, so episode 2 is just kind of going through and starting to learn the flavors. Episode 3, what we're going to start talking about is saying, We're gonna start blind smelling these. So we're gonna line up 4 or 5 different test tubes. We're gonna make sure that there's no writing that we can see, and we're just gonna blindly pull it, open it, sniff it, and say, what flavor is that? Because that's ownership, right? Right now we're training and trying to learn these fragrances, but then what we want to be able to do is start to identify them without knowing the name and without seeing the actual herb, right? Or bean or whatever we're looking at. So that expands our knowledge, and as we get better, episode 4, we're gonna go ahead and open our eyes and know the smells, and we're actually gonna go to the whiskey. Just to kind of prove this to you, what's really cool is I say this has a really big caramel note on front. I got caramel here. So just to kind of show you where we're headed. So if I take caramel, so when I smell caramel, I think I get nothing but tons of sugar and that little bit of, it's been cooked in a pan. You get that little bit of, it's been cooked, not burnt smell, but definitely a cooked smell. And I get a lot of the exact same aroma right here. So I'm getting a lot of that caramel, and I said it also has a lot of vanilla forward. So if I take my vanilla, love that smell. I get vanilla as well. So this is how we're gonna, over time, start pulling these pieces out. But we can't run until we learn to walk. So we've gotta take our time, walk through this, be able to identify the name, the image, the memory, and the smell. And as we start to be able to do this together and we start to be able to do this blind, we can start applying that to our whiskey. Actually, what we'll do is episode 3, let's actually start applying to whiskey. Episode 4, we'll start doing blind. Episode 5 would be the combination of all of it, right? No smells, no nothing. Pour the whiskey, smell it, find the notes, and then we'll come back and pull our actual nosing tray and say, here are the notes we smelled. Did we find those? And can we find other notes? So that'll be episode 5. So let's go ahead and change that up a little bit. Why not? It's not live TV. And it's my show. I can do whatever I want. So again, spectacular whiskey. If you are a fan of my profile, and you can see my profile on Instagram at GolfCask. To me, a very, very good whiskey. Very sweet front end, which I kind of like. Here are some of our tastings. And like I said, next week we're going to go ahead and start to pair whiskey flavors with the nosing. Week 4, again, we'll do blind sniffing or nosing of the whiskey. And then week 5, we'll go ahead and see where we can isolate smell and then circle back with our sniffing trays and see if we can start pulling those aromas. Really find the ones that we found and see if we can find some new ones. So again, this was episode 2 of DIY Nosing Kit. I believe it's called Wathan's Whiskey Spectacular, if I'm mispronouncing that. What? I don't think I am. But if I am, I apologize. But to me, again, a really cool bourbon, Kentucky bourbon. And like I said, we get a lot of those caramels and vanillas on the front end, which I love. So cheers, Cilantro, and tip to the bartender for picking a great whiskey. Thank you so much.